Everyone, second time's the charm. Don't mind the fact that I have a ladder behind me and like my wall is half painted because I have not had a chance to finish. I have to finish that little patch and then I literally have to do this beadboard is so hard to paint. I have to go all around the room again, at least like 1 or 2 times. So thanks y'all for joining. My live tonight, I'm going to put this on YouTube too. This is about that article that I shared earlier. I think it was from Daily Mail. They were talking about using brain dead women as surrogates. And that is so crazy. But I also feel like I'm kind of off topic tonight because there's all this, talk about the China balloons. Yeah, somebody said looking for balloons. Yeah, the balloons. The one, and somebody tried to fill me in. I didn't have time to investigate enough, but I thought maybe they shot down the one over Montana or something like that, and then that there was another one over the Pentagon. Y'all let me know in the comments. I'm gonna shut my door really quick because I can hear my dogs. I'm bugging them, so. All right. Yeah, let me know if you have any details about the balloons. But anyways, so the reason that this article struck me is because I actually used to work in healthcare. And again, those of you that are joining, it's the article from the Daily Mail where they said, it was like an opinion piece, but it said experts are wondering, should they use brain dead people basically as surrogates for couples that can't have babies. And as somebody with a medical background, I worked ICU medicine for 6 years. I was like, that's not even possible. It's actually not even possible. And that's why I, at least on my Twitter, and I think on here too, I was like, disgusting. And also it doesn't make any sense, balloons should be covered by the Second Amendment. Is this surrogacy considered consensual? They had it in their file like a DNR. Okay, well here, we'll start at the beginning with this. So first of all, people who are brain dead, and there's a difference. So brain dead means no brain activity and no cerebellar function, no cerebral function, and absolutely no brainstem reflexes either. There's a very specific criteria for brain death, and it literally means you're dead. You are dead if you meet criteria for brain death. There's no keeping you on life support or anything like that. This is criteria for death, basically. So there's no brainstem reflexes and no breathing. They do something called an apnea test to make sure that the person can absolutely not breathe on their own. Some of the brainstem reflexes, these are minimal life reflexes. So minimal life reflexes, that's coughing, gagging, any type of breathing. There's certain other ones that you will do as a test for brain death, which is they do some water in the ear and check for nystagmus. They do oculocephalic reflex, so they're checking to see, they call this doll's eyes. You can look it up, but do the eyes move with when they turn the head, or do they stay fixed? Those are signs of that. If somebody has those reflexes, they're actually pathological reflexes, but they're minimal life reflexes. So it's the absence of any of that. It's the absence on an EEG of absolutely any brain activity. No, so let me explain this. The reason why they cannot even use brain dead people as a surrogate is because once you meet the criteria for brain death and you are dead, you do not have any of these reflexes or anything, your body will actually not continue to live for 9 months. They can keep these people alive for a short period of time on mechanical ventilation, things like pressors. I don't know if you know what those are. If y'all know what those are, but they basically help to keep your blood pressure up. They can do things to control heart rate, either speed it up, slow it down, to try to keep hemodynamic stability. But literally your body will try to die. It's not going to stay alive for 9 months. And I found a good article here. Let's see. I'm going to read a couple of these things that I found. So basically brain death Diagnosis requires the presence of 3 conditions, which I told you about. Persistent coma, so like non-responsive. No brainstem reflexes, which we just talked about. Lack of ability to breathe independently. So they do that apnea test. They would like turn off the ventilator and see can the person, and there's specific times when they don't do that full part of the test, and they can do other things too, which I think I highlighted those below, but like something called a brain flow study. So brain functions assessed by multiple reflexes. That's what we talked about. Any pupillary response to light, coughing, gagging, and then some of those other reflexes. And I actually have like a little chart that I downloaded too that shows all of those. So the post was full of shit. Yes, I think it was, but that's why I had made a Twitter post about like, are they trying to move the Overton window? Like, why would they suggest something like that? And we'll get to this later. And I'm going to put some of these links in the YouTube video too, so people can check them out, like some of the reflexes, things like that. But I have found an article, and okay, I thought I had persistent coma. I thought I had some quotes from this man, but why are they not over here? So vegetative state is different. So people, and the article kind of like shifted and talked about vegetative state. Like a person in a vegetative state, they would have some of those reflexes. They can even do, they don't have like a meaningful response. They're not going to like meaningfully respond to you to stimuli and stuff, but they might do things like some little bit of eye movements, like some reflex responses, like yawning, involuntary movements to noxious stimuli. That's like if you press on their fingernail bed, like they would actually maybe withdraw from that, but they're not going to show awareness to their environment, like recognition, anything like that. Some of them, sometimes they even kind of like blink or their eyes move and stuff, but that's different. And so the article kind of touched on vegetative state, and so that would actually be totally different, which is kind of interesting because basically brain dead, if people think of that as like, oh, would that be like an organ donation situation? Well, we just talked about the fact, and gosh, I had some things that I thought I had saved and now they're like not in my notes, but basically I had an article and there was a doctor who was talking about like brain dead patients, like I had said, they typically, they don't secrete any more of the hormones that like the brain sends those signals to the body and stuff. They stop doing that. They can also get something where they start to like water waste, like their kidneys, those hormones aren't sending signals to their kidneys anymore to like conserve water, and so they start to like urinate a ton, which also leads them further to death, because that, like to actual body death, because that throws off all their chemistries and everything. You just can't live like that. You don't have the hormones necessary to survive. Like if they were trying to keep somebody like that alive for a prolonged period of time, they would have to pump them full of the exact certain amount of like these different hormones and stuff, and that's just not even feasible or logical. So in the article, the doctor talks about, typically like somebody's body might last in that situation for maybe a week. They did have some like study, I guess, from the 50s, it sounds like, where they kept, and it said brain dead people, and I don't know what criteria they used back then. I don't know how sensitive it was, but it sounded like they tried to keep them alive for somewhere between, it was like 2 and 26 days. And I don't know if it was like they all passed away by then or what, but that's the reality. Like a brain dead person, their body, like without so much put into it and everything, and it just doesn't even, your brain controls hormones, all that stuff. Like it's not logical to think that they're going to keep that person in that situation, like their body alive for 9 months to like incubate a baby. Plus like there's all the ethical aspect behind that and just the weirdness, because just think about like a baby born in like a vessel with like the soul has left the body. Like there's just so much ick factor to it too, but just the fact that it wouldn't even really make sense. So why did they write this article? They talked about something different, which was like vegetative state. Like I believe it touched on that, and I was like, well, that's totally different, because somebody in like a persistent vegetative state, or even like minimally conscious or something, they're not dead. Like they don't meet the criteria for like organ donation, like people are talking about, oh, would that be an organ donation, like where they're just lending their uterus out, you know, those people, anything done to them would have to be done under a living will because they're alive, you know, and those are how those decisions are made. Like that is like an advanced directive for like an alive person, not someone who's dead, like a person who is brain dead. So it's a little creepy because it makes you wonder, like, if they're trying to throw this out there and get people's opinion on it, and we know that, like, physiologically, it doesn't even make sense to think that they would even use brain dead people for this. What do they actually want to do? Like, let's see, this is all facts. This woman knows what she's talking about. Yes, well, I practiced ICU medicine for 6 years, and in the ICU, you work with patients who are brain dead, patients who are, vegetative state, patients who are minimally responsive. You do, neuro checks and see what their neurological function is. You do, assessments to see, like, does it seem like this person is brain dead, and then obviously, like, there's specific criteria for who and how can actually diagnose brain death, but you have to do all that stuff. Like I said, I worked in ICU for 6 years, so I understand this topic pretty well, and that's why the second I saw the article, I was like, no, like, this doesn't even make sense because they're...
It's 8:45.
Okay, it's going to remind us every 15 minutes what time it is. But, so if they know that they can't really use brain dead people, what do they really want? Do they want to use people in a vegetative state? And how would that work? Would they get consent from family? Would people sign up for this, like, as part of their living will? Like, what is the real angle here? Or is it to kind of impress upon us that, like, maybe the body doesn't matter, that's carrying the baby so much, and they actually want to move towards things like either, like these womb transplants that they want to do, which again doesn't make any sense because the hormones that control a woman's body for her to carry a pregnancy is so specific. I just can't imagine that they could even come close to that with like a transgendered person. But is it something like that they want to do, or is it even moving towards like non-human like ways of growing babies? Like, what is their real angle here? That's the thing that creeps me out, is because I know I'm like, it doesn't make sense to even say you want to use brain dead people. Experts who understand medicine wouldn't even think that that's really possible. So what do they really want, and that's what's so creepy. Let's see, Joe Hanoush 2022 says, I think they should consent individually. No one else should be able to. Yeah, I guess somebody could consent to it, but I also don't think, like, ethically it's something that we should do because, like we talked about, first of all, the baby gets so much more, and same thing with, like, growing a baby in a pod or something. Like, the baby gets so much more from the mother, from the woman who's pregnant with it, than it possibly can from just like a body just laying there. There's talking, there's emotions, there's, experiences, there's a feeling of safeness, like there's a connection. And I don't think that any of this Frankenstein type of science that they're trying to do is beneficial to that baby that's going to be carried or beneficial to the human race in general. It's definitely not optimal situation. Yeah, definitely not. And I think we always have to wonder, like, why do they want to do this stuff? What's their angle? And like, where can this go? Like, what's the worst case scenario of what, they want to do this for? So that's what I always try to think about and really take a look at. And I just don't think that there can be a really good reason to do something like this. So I would say that it's probably all coming from, either like a eugenics standpoint, like they want to be able to grow babies in vessels that are the babies that they want, or something, again, very creepy along those lines, or just gatekeeping, human reproduction. They're really getting big on the trans stuff. They're really getting big on, people have a ton of infertility. So there's a lot of fertility treatment, stuff like that. They're starting to say like, oh, you can pick the sex of your baby. I've even heard stuff about like eye color. There could be, whatever the reason is, I'm sure it's sickening. Yes, exactly. So they'll sell people on something they want. Oh, I want a baby and stuff. But what comes with it is like a whole evil agenda. And so that's where I just don't think that this is something that they should mess with. And I'm just wondering what their true, like what they truly want to do with this is. It will work for people that took the poke because the new DNA variant will keep them going. Oh, that is an interesting thought. We always have to wonder exactly. Yeah, you're like, for some reason, their physiology will carry them on. You're saying, like, even if they were brain dead, they're looking for mindless souls to incubate their hive mind cerebro. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You mean like X-Men cerebro? But yeah, exactly. They want, that's what it seems like. There's just something so creepy going on with, you know, the fact that they talk about cloning, you know, gene editing, growing babies in women who are brain dead, which doesn't even make sense. Like, there is definitely a sickening agenda going on. So I do not like it, but that's the most of it with the article. Something else I want to talk about. This is going off the rails into libertarianism. I don't know if any of y'all are libertarians on here, how interested y'all are, but there's been a couple of things with the Libertarian Party. You know, I've had some differences with them lately. I had a debate last week with a libertarian, Clint. He has Liberty Lockdown podcast. And then some video kind of came out this week. He had Eliza Blue, and, you know, she's somebody that the Libertarian Party retweeted constantly on his podcast, and another guy named Thaddeus, like, probably 18 months ago. You said, you libertarians, just kidding. That's funny. So it was kind of interesting that came out. There was a video clip and it was all about age of consent. And like, I don't want to get into it too much because again, it was pretty sickening, like the stuff that Eliza was saying in that clip. And I was just like, I only watched the clip at first and I was like, I just don't understand, you know, if this woman was on your podcast, if other libertarians saw this, how the Libertarian Party kept like acting like how great she was and like retweeting her and stuff. And basically, you know, people try to kind of like defend it and everything. I went back and watched like the entire podcast and it was like even worse, like from the stuff she said, from the stuff this Thaddeus guy said, like it was just so disturbing. And it's not what I think of when I think of libertarianism. And it made me really think for the first time about these, like the age of consent thing, because they were questioning basically like, should the community decide like per each individual when someone's like, you know, an adult, and they were basically talking about like sex, like, you know, when they're ready to have sex. And it brought to my mind something that I don't think that anyone else has said, and this is how I see it. And so I want to share that and talk about this and hope that the Libertarian Party will adopt this stance. So when we have the age of consent law at 18, I think that's very important, rather than like whatever they're trying to talk about, like, oh, well, maybe it's case by case, whatever. When you have something that is like strictly like 18, that protects the individual because that gives them an expectation. No one can come along and tell them, I think you're an adult early, right? So that gives you time to prepare. Like when I was born, obviously, and I found out like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be an adult when I'm 18. I thought that for 18 years. I mean, from like whatever point I started having awareness on, maybe like 4 or 5, when they're like, no, when you're an adult, when you're 18. So that gives me a frame of reference as a person to say, I have 18 years. I have till I'm 18, till I'm considered an adult, till I have to have a responsibility. And I mean, obviously, like I still have the choice not to become responsible, not to act like an adult when I'm 18, but I have a set time frame. I have 18 years to prepare for that. So the stuff that they were talking about was not protecting the individual in my, like the individual person in my standpoint, because if you're going to say like the community is going to tell you early, you know, say they came to me and they're like, oh no, you seem, you know, you're 16 or whatever, but you're very mature. Like you seem like you're an adult now. That's not fair, because from my whole life, I've been thinking like, I'll be an adult when I'm 18. And that is what protects people the most, in my opinion. You're keeping it a standard. That individual has expectations. They know when to expect what. So, you know, even if it's 18, you're an adult, but 21, you can drink. Like, those are set expectations, and I don't think they need to mess with that. And I also don't understand why the Libertarian Party is like dipping their toe in this at all, because it's a bad look. It's not protecting children, and it's like, just, I don't even know why they're going there. So basically, they had some other stuff kind of come up with like their war rally that they're doing, and I'm just kind of keeping an eye on all that, because there's been so much stuff that I don't agree with, and so many things that I've been trying to kind of like warn people about and let them know, like, hey, like, this is not the way that we conduct ourselves. Like, we need to conduct ourselves better. And I've gotten nothing but like absolutely like hate and pushback for it, for trying to say, like, we should have moms involved, we should be more welcoming, like, we should put on a little bit more of a professional face for voters to try to like show them what we're actually about, which is the principles of liberty, instead of just arguing with each other and being like, well, I just like saying this word or that word, I just like being edgy, I just want to vape all the time. Like, those are not the principles of the party. That's not what people are joining for, and that's not what they're going to vote for. So when we lead with all of that extra stuff, we're making ourselves look bad, and we're alienating people, and they never get to see the true message of liberty and the importance of it shine through. So that's kind of like my little 2 cents there. I won't get too much into details, but I mean, I've basically alienated a lot of the libertarians, but I'm not upset about it, because I'm going to keep on telling them exactly what I think, because I feel like that is like a labor of love. Like, when you care about people, when you care about what they're doing, when you care about what you're doing, when you want something to succeed, like, the most important thing is like, giving feedback, recorrecting, telling them when they're not doing well. It's just like being a parent. And this is going to sound kind of funny, but like, and I don't know, anyone else can tell me if they ever feel like this. Sorry, that noise is so annoying. I'm going to try to fix this. Anyone else can tell me if they ever feel like this. But basically, I feel sometimes like I wish people gave me more criticism, like more feedback. Like, if people were more brutally honest with me about like, hey, you're not really doing this right, you could do this better. Like, I saw you did this, and I felt like if you did it like this, it would be better. Like, sometimes we don't want to hear that, and I'm no exception. But I think that it's so important and so powerful. Like, when people give you feedback, like honest feedback, especially people that care about you and stuff, that's something that you can do something with. Like, I can't always tell how I come off, or how I'm perceived, or what my content looks like. I mean, I try to just go based off of, the engagement I get and stuff like that. But if I had like good, honest feedback, I would think of that as valuable. But they obviously aren't really in that mindset, over there at the Libertarian Party right now. But I'm gonna keep pushing with them and try to kind of make things better, more welcoming for moms, and those of us that are more health freedom, that maybe leaned more Republican in the past. Honest feedback, you totally missed a huge spot past noting the wall. Oh yeah. That's the honest feedback. I know, it's so bad. The wall is so bad. I need to finish it. I can't wait. I think it will actually look good when it's done. But like, no joke, this house has been killing me. Like, this is going to sound funny, but this house is 100 years old, and I kind of feel like if I want to do something to it, I need like, the house has to like give me permission or something, because I haven't I've just been trying to do whatever I want to it. And it's almost like the house is like, no, you're not going to do that. Like, this is not going to go well for you, because I wasn't expecting this, like the bathroom I installed, it's like everything leaked. I'm like, the house is mad at me or something, trying to paint this wall. I'm like, well, I should have thought better, because it's beadboard and it's so bad. But just everything like that, installing doorknobs, things, the house is just like, no, you're not doing this to me. I'm 100 years old. Whatever kind of like brand new doorknob or door set you're trying to put in, like, that doesn't work for me. And I'm just like, this stuff's just not going together, right? So, but it's been fun. I'm spreading that gravel out in my like driveway, filling in potholes and stuff, because like contractors, Contractors will tear up your entire yard and cost you thousands of dollars, like when they're there to do a different project. So basically, my whole yard's like tore up. I'm trying to like fill it in with gravel and everything and, do all that. But it's been fun. So like anybody thinking about doing like a remodel for an old house, I guess I would definitely plan for the fact that it's made of totally different materials than anything today, and like really use good judgment on like what projects you want to do and like if they're going to work with what that house is made of. Don't be like me and just be like, this will work, just start tearing stuff up. You got to plan a little bit better. But it has been really fun, and it's like super rewarding because like I said, my house is like over 100 years old, so that is pretty cool. Let's see. I feel like there were some other topics I wanted to talk about. Definitely, the balloons, the Chinese spy balloons or whatever, surveillance balloons. People talked about like EMPs, like they might be sending like electromagnetic pulses. I don't know what kinds of like apparatus they need for the technology to do that. Like, can a balloon really do that? I mean, I heard that they're like the size of 2 or 3 buses, but I don't know how possible that is. Somebody let me know in the comments if the balloon can really send electromagnetic pulses, and if so, what they would be doing. Like, I mean, would that be trying to like disrupt our Wi-Fi?
9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock, you guys. Would that be like trying to disrupt our Wi-Fi, or would it be like, like something with the systems for like our military or something, or like why would they send electromagnetic pulses? Let's see if there was any other comments up here. Someone said, oh yeah, those are all going back. Biden will announce a balloon force like Trump created Space Force, LOL. Yeah. Oh, that was something I wanted to ask over on Twitter, but I hadn't yet. Do you all think, okay, so like Biden, I did read an article where it was like Biden was advised not to shoot the balloons down. That was yesterday. And then it sounds like maybe they shot one down today. But do you think if it was Trump, like would he have shot the balloon down by now? Or you think he would have done the same thing and they'd just be flying around like no big deal? And did Biden even give a press conference? I haven't heard anything from him. I've just only heard like some news articles. Hey guys, thanks for joining. I'm probably going to wrap this up pretty quick. I will save it to my YouTube. I just wanted to talk about that article because there's just some crazy stuff happening in the world. And whenever there's something medical, I definitely want to make like an effort to talk about it, since I do have a medical background and I can answer some of the questions and stuff. I definitely wouldn't shoot something not knowing what is in it. Well, it's a balloon though. Like, how many pounds can those balloons even carry? Like, could there really be like a big giant explosive in it, or is it, I mean, it's basically like a hot air balloon, right? But it's just like way, way, way up high, like even above where the airplanes fly. They would not have even tried it if Trump was still there. Yeah, that's a good point. I did read like the reason why they weren't really shooting them down yesterday is like they're up so high that they were like, the satellites that China already like orbit around and can already see and determine like stuff that's on the ground here even better than like these balloons would be able to. You said an F-10 probably. You think that there could be like a bunch of explosives or something in there, or like the electromagnetic pulse apparatus, like something to do with an electromagnetic pulse. Somebody tell me more about that if you have any info. Yeah, other than that, it's like news has been kind of slow lately. Like everything's been kind of just chill. Obviously the world's going in like a slow downward slide. Eggs are expensive now. We can barely afford eggs. I'm about to be like getting some chickens or something. Food prices are going, like all the food prices I've been noticing are going up. Energy prices, I think like all those bills are still high. Like we're obviously hitting inflation here. You said I wouldn't F with it. Yeah, I probably wouldn't either. But I mean, maybe if it was over Montana and they could have just like found a nice area where there wasn't anything, they could have dropped it and see. or it's not like, if it's a big balloon, it's not like it moves fast. Can't they send something up to kind of like grab it? Did the floating egg trick, it sank? Okay, oh, you're talking about you tested your eggs to see if they were still good? Is that what you're talking about? I remember when I used to have chickens, like somebody told me that you have to check if they're like good ones or bad ones. And you're also not, okay, apparently you're not supposed to wash them like before you store them, because like whatever's on the outside layer, like you could just supposed to like wipe them off or whatever, because like that protects them and makes them last so much longer. I was yesterday years old when you heard about that. From what I heard, they have solar arrays on them, and that means they have technology aboard and possible directional capability. Oh, okay, that's good to know. Do you think that the Chinese balloons could be biological weapons? I mean, that's a question. That's why a lot of people were saying like the electromagnetic pulse, but I don't know if they were saying the electromagnetic pulse would harm us, or if it would just like hurt our like either military like communications, or if it would like disrupt our Wi-Fi or something like that. And so that's what I was wondering. I don't think that they would come with balloons from, okay, it said they would fly even higher than airplanes, so that's like above 30,000 feet. Like, I don't know how high the airplanes go, maybe above 40,000 feet is what I thought it was saying. Like, do you think that they would really drop a bioweapon from that high and it would actually like disperse in any type of way that would really affect us on the ground? Because if it's a virus, like you have to have a like an infectious dose, and I don't know if it would be a virus or if you're thinking about just some type of toxic chemical, but either way, like once it dispersed that much, I can't imagine how much damage it would really do. So maybe that electromagnetic pulse type of bioweapon, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert in like biowarfare, but I can't imagine that they could drop something from that high and it would like disperse on people in any type of way that would actually cause like enough, that they would get enough to do harm. I don't mean to brag, but I have a carton of eggs in my fridge. Oh, nice. I do too. Now, unfortunately, they're not like home laid chicken eggs. They're like ones I bought at the store. So that's a little sad. But it's like an 18 pack. So there you have it. And it was expensive. I was surprised. So I definitely need to like use every single one. 50 to 55,000 feet is where they are flying. Commercial planes are around 30,000. Yeah, so they're like way up there, way up there. Somebody tell me about if they shot down the one, if you got any more details. I heard that the chicken feed that they're selling these days is causing chickens not to lay eggs. Heard anything about that? No, I haven't heard that, but they do need special nutrients. So if you don't get the right one, I can imagine, but I didn't know anything about that. Launching any weapon over another country is a direct act of war. Highly doubt it has any weapon capabilities. That makes sense. That's a good comment. That's probably true. Maybe the balloon is a way to avoid paying property taxes. With 1985, an F-15 shot down a satellite. So ... Oh, they thought it was something dangerous and they accidentally shot down a satellite. Tell us more. What happened there? A little bit more. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I know I haven't been paying too much attention to the Russia-Ukraine thing. It just kind of like makes me, there's my ladder again, you guys, kind of makes me so sick. Like, just the money, the issues and stuff. I know a lot of people are saying we're like pushing towards World War III over there, which is a little bit scary. It's sad because it almost seems like there's nothing we can do about it if like Congress and everyone's like hell-bent on just having us involved. It's like kind of just really, really crappy, to feel like helpless about why are they doing this to us. Oh, hey, Ricky. Thanks for the wave. Yeah, but I didn't really have too much else to talk about. Short video. I need to get back into doing more live streams, talking about different topics and stuff. So I kind of like made myself tonight because I was so tired, like with all this house stuff and everything. But I love doing this, love talking about topics. I'm going to start putting more stuff on, over on YouTube and everything. But let's see. If the balloon is legit China government ops, that is an act of war, in my opinion. Yeah, so has China even made a statement? That would be good to know. Like, did they say, like, why? I mean, it's a little creepy that they sent one that's apparently, like, more over the Pentagon. Now, I don't know anything about that yet because it just popped up, like, on Twitter. I was about to mention it. Yeah, it just had popped up on Twitter, like, a little while before I came on. I didn't have any time to, like, read or investigate about that, but that's kind of creepy, like, especially if they have two. I think, just I'll talk for a couple more minutes, but like we're in a pretty bad place right now. I feel like in America, like people are, it doesn't seem like it, like everything seems normal and fine, but as far as like our mindset as a nation, and what they're trying to do with us and everything, it's like, they have so many just like the youth especially, and that's what's so creepy. Like, okay, so the youth, like, obviously there's a lot of children now with issues like my son has, so autism, developmental delays, ADHD, like all kind of health problems too, like, which, a lot of those come from the V products, but like, diabetes, asthma, all kind of stuff, autoimmune issues that would make them not really good to be like in the military. They have health problems or developmental stuff. And then the ones that are healthy and everything, it's like now they're kind of trying to convince a lot of them to be like non-binary or take hormones or things like that. And we're in just kind of, and then the other ones, like, there's just a total like lack of responsibility and everything. So it's a little bit scary when you think about over the next couple of, 5-10 years and stuff, were we to get in an altercation with one of these much more better prepared countries, like it's a little bit scary to think like, will we even have a good military? Like, what are we doing here? Are we a strong nation? Like, at least like principles wise and like as a united front, like all those things are stuff you have to think about when you think about like were another country to attack us or try to take us over. I think the only thing China said was that it accidentally floated over. Oh, okay. Well, how come they don't come get it back then if they're trying to be like friendly about it and stuff? And they're like, oh, hey, sorry, my balloon ended up like in your yard. And it's like, why don't you come get it back? Yeah, that's really, I don't know about that. I also don't know if they would really try to fight with us right now or, engage in any type of like war issues. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure that would benefit them. But just to wrap it up, let's see. Oh, wait, someone had a comment. I think it's a misdirection, a distraction. Every TikTok account in Chinese spyware inside our homes and every conversation. Why did they need a balloon at the tip of the atmosphere to spy? That's a really good point. And I think it looked like you just hopped on. So the reason why they were saying they weren't going to like shoot them down or anything was because they felt like they could barely surveil any better than the satellites that are already up there that China could be using to like determine where our weapons are and stuff like that. So it didn't really make sense. We the people are the biggest unofficial army, 70 million armed Americans. That part's good, but like also everyone has so many issues with each other. It's like we can't get on the same page about anything. So it's just like if something happened, like hopefully we would snap out of that fast. But we don't have a lot of organization right now. A significant percentage of Americans think there is an invasion at the southern border and not doing anything. So yeah, I guess that's true. A lot of people might view like the immigration and stuff like that. And yeah, the biggest problem that we have right now anyways is that no one really does anything about anything. And I had actually put up a few Twitter polls. I'll just we can go off into Twitter chit chat now. But one of them was like, who do you think pushed back most against the COVID the COVID narrative or like the COVID mandates, rules, everything like that. Men, women, or moms specifically. And a lot of people said men, but I think that the answer was really like, by and large, like we did not push back enough in even a peaceful way because we were like busy being too polite or something. So if you looked at like tons of people still wore masks, and maybe that's because they were truly scared, but I know a lot of people didn't want to and still did it. Tons of people still got the B product when they didn't want to. Tons of people still closed down their businesses. Tons of people still, just complied with all those forms asking you like contract tracing questions and have you been around anyone that's sick, and tons of people got nasal swabs to like go on vacations or go different places and everything. And so I get a little bit annoyed, like even to this day, when people try to say like, oh, well, if the government does this and that, civil war, or we have to push back, we get violent and stuff. I'm like, you couldn't even say no to a form. Like you couldn't even tell the hostess at the restaurant that you weren't going to put on a mask. Like you couldn't even tell your boss, like, I'm not going to take a PCR to go to work. Sorry. You couldn't even cancel your vacation because they wanted you to take a PCR. So how do you think that we are going to like somehow engage in, like an armed uprisal if these things happen again? Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like people were too afraid to even push back like in their day-to-day lives in just ways that would make them like a little bit uncomfortable. So I've just kind of lost a lot of faith that anybody will really do anything no matter what happens, unless you're literally faced with like physical violence. And even then people are so demoralized at this point. It's like, will we just be like, oh, don't hurt me. Like, I'm gonna just go listen to you, just hoping that you'll be nice. Like, like what they tell you not to do. Or I don't know what they tell you to do if you were faced with a kidnapper or something. But my thought would be, someone tried to kidnap me, I wouldn't be like, oh, well, maybe if I'm really nice, they'll just be nice and let me go. I'd be like fighting back, but I just don't know how demoralized we are. Like how many people still have that mindset. A lot of people might be like, the governments are just putting me in this camp for my safety. They probably just want to put me here so that I'm safe from germs and stuff. Like the way that we have just let ourselves get walked all over doesn't give me like much hope for the future. Unarmed, nonviolent is not an invasion. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're saying people just coming across. Tell the kidnapper to stay back 6 feet, LOL. Yeah, exactly. It's 9:15. Oh yeah, my computer like shut off, so luckily it doesn't have to remind us what time it is anymore. Yeah, but that's basically it. Thank you guys all so much for hopping on. Like I said, I want to start doing more live streams again. I've been so bad about it. No one should be in a camp for safety. Oh, for sure they shouldn't. But you know what I'm saying, like how they're going to sell it to you. There was even a point like in the beginning of the pandemic stuff when I remember getting an email from my work that was like, it's like they had curfews or something, and they were like, show these papers if you got pulled over for being outside of your house or whatever, like when you're coming to work. I was like, ick, no. Like they can just, if they're going to be psycho like that, they can just take me to jail instead of work. Like, now luckily that never happened, but that's how bad it got. Like people were like, this is fine. It's totally fine. We'll just send them like an excuse letter or whatever. Like, no one should have said yes to stuff like that. And I don't have a lot of hope for the future that we would act differently, because I don't think people learn their lesson. I think, we suffered a lot of, pain and loss of liberty and, personal issues for many people. Like as far as if you couldn't go to the gym, people were gaining weight, people were getting depressed, people were drinking all the time, some people were overdosing on drugs, people were losing their savings and everything. And we put up with that and we got through it, some of us, a lot of us, but I don't think that it hit home enough that people would even act differently next time. And that's the thing that scares me so much. That's because people don't understand their right under the Constitution and how to defend them. Yeah, that's exactly true. I mean, there were good people, like, some good people in politics that did try to protect our rights under the Constitution. I know my state attorney general, Jeff Landry, he was really good. He's from here in Louisiana. He pushed back a lot. He fought some of those CMS laws and things, the different mandates and stuff. And that was really good. But he had to do that because people weren't doing it themselves, you know? And I mean, of course, doing both at the same time would have been good. But if we had just pushed back from the very beginning, like imagine that they even had like V passports like in New Orleans, only 2 hours away from you. Like, how disturbing is that? That people were going to New Orleans and having to show that they had either V product or a negative test just to go somewhere, like even like the gym or inside to eat at a restaurant. Like, how disturbing is it that they got away with that? You know, 2 hours from where I live and lots of other cities. Okay, there's a bunch of comments. Hold on. You need permission from the government to go to work. Exactly. Like, that's so stupid. Just had this thought about the balloons. Some things are shaded by GPS and satellite view. Maybe this gets them closer past the problem. Oh, that's interesting. That could be true. Like, if it's blocked out. No one will protect our rights. We're supposed to do it ourselves. Exactly. DeSantis put executive orders to limit the number of people at the beach. Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, he wasn't perfect either, and there's, like, a whole lot of people fighting over him versus Trump versus which one did better. The Constitution means that employers still require fees in Connecticut. Oh, gosh. Means that employers still require... Love your work. Oh, thank you. So here's another one actually that I just saw that I was going to do a video on yesterday, but I was too tired last night. So in Tennessee, I wish I had my notes, but in Tennessee, some I believe it's a Democrat has a law that, you know, a new bill that they've put forth to, I forget, their General Assembly or whatever they call it, that would basically implement, and I don't know if it would be compulsory or just an option, but like a digital ID, like a digital driver's license. So in those cases, like if they pass that, you would just, in Tennessee, go to the DMV and get your license would be like downloaded to like your Apple Wallet and stuff like that. And that's not the first state that has that, which is like, you know, this is becoming a little dystopian because that's the exact same thing like with the V wallets. You know, they had those programs in different states. They actually have that here in Louisiana where it's like your shot records are on this online database, and they basically like would like have it on your phone and everything. So imagine that attached to your driver's license and how much like of an invasion of privacy that can be. Don't want the government in my wallet. Exactly. So that's not the only state that has it. Apparently they're rolling this out in California like in the springtime. And then Washington state too wants to have the same thing, like a digital ID, digital driver's license, which is like dumb because you can just take a picture of your driver's license. You know what I mean? They definitely want it for a different reason other than just like convenience, you know? So the person that had put the bill forth in Washington state, which is like the state that I'm actually from, like I was born and raised there. I lived there for 25 or 26 years before I moved away. Haven't lived there in 10 years. But basically their person that put it forth was like, well, you know, I just saw how great it was, pretty much is like paraphrasing, but I saw how great it was with the V products, like when they had digital databases for that. And I thought this would be like a great idea, you know? And so it's kind of creepy because you can just imagine that they're going to want to have digital IDs for everybody. And the Washington was a very depressing place. Yeah, other than like certain months, like in the spring, summer, and like in the fall, like, yeah, it's like kind of drizzly and cold all the time. It's not the best. But yeah, so in Washington, they're wanting to do that. They're doing it in California. They're, you know, thinking about doing it in Tennessee. And even here in Louisiana, they have those digital databases for shot records. And it's just kind of like, it's, let's see, somebody said, what, how could you have lived somewhere for 25 years, 10 years ago? I'm 36, that's how. I'm 36. How old did you think I was? You can tell me how old you thought I was. I'm 36. That's how I lived there for 25 years, 10 years ago. So what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So also, like, if y'all had seen that video that I shared a while ago from, it was like Benjamin Netanyahu, and he wants an electronic medical record. So that's where you always have to think, oh, he thought you were 25. That's funny. No, not 25. I've lived a long life. That's where I get all this wisdom from. But yeah, so Benjamin Netanyahu, he wants to have an electronic medical record, and he wants to have on top of that a genetic record, which is like, that is so dystopian, so creepy, you know. So basically they will get your genetic testing, and he was like, well, pay people, or maybe they'll just volunteer, you know. And then you also have to think about, like, a lot of people, they might have it from doing like 23andMe and stuff like that, at least here in America. But they want to have records where it's like all your medical records and your genetic record together in one place. And then imagine that with shot records, driver's license, and where are we at then? It's like social credit system. Then you're in the matrix, basically. They're going to have all your stuff digital, everything about you. They'll have it on your phone. They'll make it so, just like with the phone, you have to remember, like, they start to phase out the old as they phase in the new, and then you become so dependent on it. So like after a while, like when they get rid of even like having paper driver's license and stuff, you have to have a phone. But then if you know, and basically you have to now just to even survive, you know, you can't, there's so many things you can't do without it. At the World Economic Forum, they announced a digital pill. Explain the digital pill. I don't know. I don't know anything about this digital pill that they announced. Tell us what it is. I don't know what your picture is either. That's like tactile home views, but it always looks like a steak to me when I see it really tiny. It's making me hungry for a steak, which I don't have any, so it's really sad. But I don't know what it is. Tell us what your picture is. But yeah, so anyways, like it's a little creepy to think like if they're going to move, oh, it's strawberries. Oh, it's funny. Well, it makes me think of steak. Steak and strawberries would actually be pretty good. Everyone says steak. Yeah, it makes me want one so bad. And I was going to get some at the store yesterday, and I was like, no, I'll just go to Whole Foods later, but I didn't go anywhere today. But yeah, so it's a little bit creepy, a little bit dystopian to think that they have, you know, they want to do stuff like that. They want to get somebody, who was it that talked about the digital pill? Oh, it was you. Explain this digital pill for everyone, because I don't know exactly what they said. But yeah, it's a little bit creepy. They're gonna have all that stuff in the same place. I actually think about this with Twitter a lot. There's something about Twitter that is a little bit weird too, where it's like, I don't remember. I was using it one day and I was like, this seems like it banks more of your data, like your personality, like the things that you're saying and stuff, like in a way that more than like Instagram. And I got a little bit creeped out about using it. I was like, I don't know. It's like the way that it like logs and catalogs all your tweets and everything. Like you actually can't really even delete them because like the message chain's still there and stuff. Like there's just something about Twitter that also, like, I really like Twitter, but I think it data mines like us and kind of tries to categorize us and stuff. It's just an electronic pill that monitors your health. You swallow the pill, it monitors your health. Question mark? Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff like that. There's also some implanted chips that different companies have talked about that, like, you would put them in your body and they'd be like sensors to tell, like, how, if, you know, are you getting a fever? Are you getting this and that? Twitter banned a video exposing Pfizer that Project Veritas did. I saw part of that. Elon might be giving people piece of ad revenue. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. He said that, like, if an ad goes on your message chain, then you might get money, but I don't know, like, maybe you have to be like a pretty big creator before people start like trying to throw advertisements onto your tweets or whatever. I've never really come across any chains that had like an advertisement on it, but you never know. I do think I like Twitter a lot. I think it's a really, really good place. It's like almost like the old time, like town square. Like it's a lot more, you have access to so many people and so many conversations and stuff, like as opposed to like Instagram. It just must be the way that the algorithm works. But as opposed to like Instagram or like obviously Facebook, there's so much more back and forth between people of all different like worlds or like different levels of authority and stuff like that. I see ads on Twitter all the time. Yeah, I see ads on Twitter, but do you see them? He made it sound like in that tweet, like if they end up in like your tweet, like in the comments or something. And I didn't really know exactly what he was talking about, but maybe I read it wrong. I'm not sure, but I like Twitter because like for that reason, people can communicate like with Elon Musk, or you can tweet to like, and sometimes even get responses from people in politics or different influencers and stuff like that. And so it makes the world a lot smaller. So I think it is a really, really good, when used correctly, or if it's used for our good, like it is a really good platform. But obviously anything like that seems to kind of categorize and log like a lot of the things that you say could be used for bad too. So you never know. You just have to be mindful and everything. But I enjoy Twitter. I'm enjoying it. I like Instagram too, but Twitter is kind of like where it's at right now. So I know it's Friday night. Thanks y'all for joining me. It's kind of like a random Friday night. I happen to have time because like my son's asleep. He should pay users to respond. A lot of blue check marks don't even respond to people. Yeah, I think there's a lot of accounts, whether they have a blue check mark or not, that put up, and that's a time saver, of course, or like maybe that's not why they're on there, but a lot of people tweet or post stuff and don't really ever respond to comments. And, it can be a time thing too. Like I used to respond to like every single comment on Instagram, and now some of my, posts that I put up, like I don't have time to respond to all the comments because there's so many of them, especially like a lot of these news articles that I share. Like there's so many that I can't respond, But you said I'm a blue check mark and I respond. Yeah, so like on Twitter, same thing, like some people put up stuff and they don't respond to every single one. I try to respond as much as possible because I think that that's actually like the beauty and the fun of social media is not just like, oh, listen to what I have to say, basically, but like people hate on you a lot. Oh, on me? Yeah, they do. People hate on me all the time. But it's not just like listen to what I have to say, but like it's like let's have a conversation here. People don't like yoga pants. People love yoga pants. And actually, right now, like if you're here for the yoga pants, I'm sorry. I'm actually wearing joggers. So there's that. They love the yoga pants. People in the Libertarian Party hate on me because I said stuff that they didn't want to hear, that they needed to hear, and that they ought to hear, because there's a lot of people who are not helping the party progress. They're not really trying to help us like do better or to win elections. It's almost like that's not even why they're there, and I just call that out because for me, I have a huge incentive, with my son and everything to want to actually see success. Now I can't do everything by myself. Like I spend a lot of time building these platforms and everything, but and this is funny because somebody actually today was like, did you buy followers or something? I have never, and this is why I'm so like, I can be such a jerk sometimes on Twitter and stuff when people are rude to me, but okay, so I've never done like follow back. I've never solicited people to watch my content by like sending it to them. I've never asked people to follow me or share anything that I make. I've never, like used any type of incentives or anything to get people to follow me. And I've definitely never bought followers. So all my following's been like organic. So I think that's why sometimes I can be kind of a jerk because I'm like, no, I am pretty confident in, like, I know how to use social media and everything, and so I'm going to just do what I do. And people sometimes, you know, they want to be like, oh, you're not that big, or you're not this and that. I'm like, well, but all my stuff's real. Like, I didn't have 10 friends that I had them always sharing my stuff or commenting or liking everything. Like, I came over to this page, I didn't bring anybody from my real life when I started it. I just started it, and I just started to gain traction and everything. And like I said, like, I don't try to like buddy up with people too much to be like, share mine, I'll share yours, or let's support each other and stuff. Good night, y'all. Okay, bye. So yeah, so sometimes I stir the pot with them a little bit over there on Twitter, like all the other libertarians and everything. Strawberry Fields Forever. That's hilarious. I love it. But I mean, I have stuff to say, and if they don't want to hear it, then they don't have to, but I'm going to say it either way. You know, I'm going to share my thoughts and everything because like I said, I have a huge incentive to want to see us succeed. You said yoga pants forever. I love it. As a party, and have, like, you know, freedoms protected, have health freedom protected. Something I would love is to see liability put back to the manufacturers of V products so that they can just go on harming children and making billions, you know? So I try really hard to point out, like, when we're not being effective, but there are a lot of people in every single party. You know, it's not just the Libertarian Party, but the Libertarian Party is my party, so I'm hardest on them. But there's people in every party who are there for different reasons. You know, they don't care about winning elections. They don't care about things progressing or getting voters. They care about themselves. So there are a lot of people that just care about their podcast, you know, and if you're upfront about that, that's fine. But if you're in leadership in the party, or you pretend like you have a huge stake in it, and what's actually true is that you basically only care about your podcast and making money, well, you're not really doing it, justice to what you're supposed to be doing. So that's why I try to point stuff out. Like, we can do better than this. It's not all about like selling your podcast and talking about whatever you want. Like, there's a bigger agenda in mind, and that's getting voters. And sometimes, let's see, I only care about growing the LP and running candidates. Exactly. That's what's important. And if we're getting in the way of that, which is like, oh, well, we like to be like this, or we like to be like that, well, we're not really accomplishing what we say we're trying to accomplish. Because growing the LP, or if you're a Republican, growing the Republican Party, you know, no matter what party you're with, growing your party and getting your candidates elected should be your main focus, you know. And some people just get very comfortable because they get either like a position of a little bit of power, or they get, you know, they might get like a podcast that they like, or get to have different people on, so they would kind of become friends with them, and then they just have their little like niche little group and stuff, and they're happy with that, and it works for them, and then they lose sight of the ultimate goal. You said you Republican Party. Ugh. I have a lot of conservatives on here. I like my conservative friends. I like my conservative followers. Like, I lean towards being conservative. I was a Republican before I was a Libertarian. But I love the Libertarian Party. I'm happy here. So, but yeah, so anyways, I think people just need to keep the ultimate goal in mind, which is actually growing the party, getting candidates selected. So I point out when I don't think that that's happening, and that's why people don't like me, and then they get mad and they want to talk about my yoga pants. And yoga pants are great. Everyone should have yoga pants. How did your interview with Taxes go? Oh, it's good. She put it up today. Her and I kind of like argued a little bit back and forth. We got deep into the Mises Caucus stuff. I think I'm right. I feel like a lot of stuff is coming out with the Mises Caucus right now that's like not looking good for them. Mike Heist defending his position on the speaker that they had tried to take off of the Rage Against War rally that they're doing, and then putting the person back on because the person kind of like got everyone to band together and say like, well, we'll all quit or whatever if you don't have this person. And he kind of folded. They showed their weakness, and I think that that's kind of like pathetic. So I think things are looking kind of down for them right now. You know, they have like egg on their face a little bit, and we'll see how that goes. I am not pro Mises Caucus after the way that they've treated me, and the fact that, yeah, I mean, I've pushed back and stuff, but they have people in leadership that I don't think should be there, like Josh Smith, like Joshua Smith, whatever. Him and I have had words a couple times, and his words get so nasty so fast. So I just don't really think that those people are doing a justice to the party, and I'm going to keep saying that. So we'll see how things go for them. Basically, there are a lot of great people in the party, but I think right now everyone is just so polarized. But that was kind of how, my conversation with on Tax This podcast went. I mean, she's a little bit more, she's been in the party longer and stuff, so I think she defended their position a lot more. She has a lot more friends and connections there, that she thought they were doing a good job, or that maybe I'm wanting people to change too much. And so she was honest about her thoughts. I was honest about mine. So I think it was a good conversation, but you'll have to watch it to see kind of like the little bit of back and forth and stuff. I stand by my position. I think she stands by hers, and there's nothing wrong with that. We can agree to disagree, but it was still a good podcast, and I like to have those convos. I was supposed to be on another podcast the next day, but they canceled last minute, and so I don't know if they're even trying to reschedule it or not, but I guess we'll see. I was blown away by how that guy spoke to you. One can be a gentleman and still disagree. Yeah, and when I was on with Elizabeth Duffy, it didn't go anywhere near like that. Like she, her and I argued back and forth, but she had a lot of class. Like I thought it was a good conversation. We didn't agree, but there was no like harsh words or anything. Like she's very chill, so it was good. But yeah, he got kind of upset, and, I think watching the video back, I obviously got a little bit passionate there too. So I don't know if some of that's on me. It's hard to say, like, when you're kind of in that emotional spot. I didn't watch it a second time. I watched it once, and I was kind of like, ugh, you're talking so loud, But same thing with this video. We'll see if it's super echoey in here. That's probably going to bug me because I don't have any rugs or anything yet. But anyways, I better wrap this up because I am going to put it on YouTube, and it's super long, and I'm just kind of like going off into like whatever talk right now. But I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you everyone for watching. You said I'm tardy to the party. What's going on? Oh, we just talked about basically that article that I had shared earlier about how they said that they wanted to use brain dead people to incubate babies, I guess, basically is what they were trying to say, like to be surrogate mother for babies. But that doesn't even really work. So it was just kind of a weird article, and what's really their agenda there. And then we talked about drama with the Libertarian Party. What's going on? What's all the drama? I'm completely lost. Yeah, so just my arguments with the Libertarian Party and how I don't support the Mises Caucus, and everyone's mad about that. But now that the Mises Caucus is kind of doing some things, and so they kind of getting a little bit of like, egg on their face at the moment. People are kind of calling them out. I like to say, like, when someone makes a mistake, I say like, oh, they stepped in it. Like that was a mistake. Like, so they made a couple mistakes, but their problem was like the couple of people that I'm talking about that I kind of referenced all this earlier. But the issue is like when you step in it, like, cause you made a mistake, like you gotta say like, hey, my bad. I made a mistake. Like I should be better, but instead of doing that, what they do is try to either like justify like, oh no, like it wasn't really a mistake because of this, or like, be like, I had to do this, or like bear down harder on it and be like, no, this was the right thing all along. And it's just like, if that's how you're going to be, like, if you make a mistake in good faith, like, just be like, like I say, like, if you stepped in it because you made like a stupid call or whatever, you did something dumb, you didn't know, or just blatantly didn't know, and you just made the wrong choice, just say it. Just be like, sorry, you guys, like, I messed up. Here's how I'm going to make it better. Then people are like, oh, I respect that, right? But they're not doing that. It's either like, oh no, this is why it was fine, or like, just forgive me or whatever, or this is why I can't make it right. And it's just like, that's kind of like pathetic in my opinion. Like that's a pathetic way to act. Like or it shows your true colors. You're like, this is fine, I'm cool with this thing, like I'm not, this is how I want to be. You see their true colors then too. So you gotta always wonder with people. And I think the big problem with the Libertarian Party right now, and a lot of political parties probably forever, and I tweeted about this earlier too, I said, like, I'll probably never get far in politics because I don't care about having friends or like making friends with people and alliances and stuff like that. Like, basically, I'm like, if this is the thing, this is the principle, like, that's what you stick by. And people don't like that, they're like, no, but my friend's doing this, or my friend says that, or whatever. I have to stand by them and stuff. And that's another issue that I have with people is, like, when someone says, like, I'm a loyal person. Like, I got on this about Candace Owens, like, a little while ago, because she was, like, said something about, oh, I'm a loyal person if somebody comes for, like, my family, or maybe she was even talking about someone else. Like, you don't mess with family, or you don't do this or that, or whatever. You don't do them like that. Well, if you see it like that, you have to remember where that person's mindset's coming from when things come up. Like, do you really trust them? Are they really loyal to principles? Or are they loyal to people that they align with? And then you have to wonder, like, what are they going to do? Like, if something comes up that wasn't necessarily, like, a good look for that person or whatever, are they just going to, like, stick by them anyways because they're so loyal? And they're going to ignore their principles. So when people say, like, I'm a loyal person, I'm like, loyal to what? Like, you're loyal to something, some self-serving interest, usually because it's an alliance that you've made, or friendship or something like that. So I always try to think about stuff like that, and just stay loyal to principle and everything. And that's why, like I said, like, I don't think I would ever do good in politics because I don't bother to make alliances with people. I'm not going to be like, oh, we're friends, and so now I can let you get away with whatever, and I'm never going to call you out. Like, if somebody wants to be friends with me, like, they're going to have to accept the fact that I might be like, that thing you did was stupid, or this thing you said was stupid. And I expect the same. I'm like, if I'm acting like a fool, or I'm doing something that isn't, good, like, I would want my friends to be like, hey, like, you're acting messy, or you're dropping your principles here, or you're not doing, the thing that you said you're going to do. You seem like you're off track. Like, suddenly you're off worried about all these things that don't matter, And I would want and respect that. Like, I don't think I get it enough. And I think that that's, like, how you actually show, like, friendship to people. So you're helping them be loyal to their principles too. Another thing is like, I mean, basically there's a huge other problem when it comes to politics and things like that. It's just that people align with people because of their followings and everything. Like, they might, try to make, like, an alliance, or really, like, have someone's back, or really like them and stuff, just because that person has, like, more followers than them, or more influence than they do. And they want to attach some of that to themselves. They want to be friends with them. They want to go on their podcast, or they want to, be invited to events that they run, or they want to be thought of if that person ever does get, like, elected in office or something, You see this a lot around Trump. And so basically, like, he has, like, a whole network of, like, influencers and stuff around him that, like, ignore everything bad he does and, like, only, like, pat him on the back all the time. And with him, it's become so obvious, but this is not just, like, he's not the only one that happens to. That's, like, a basic principle in politics. Like, people start to align with each other, and then they don't call him out. They don't call each other out anymore because they want, like, if they're a little bit lesser than that person, they want a piece of their pie. Or, I mean, I guess, like, other things could happen. Maybe, like, they have dirt on them or something, who knows? But you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times it comes from, like, wanting to make those relationships and alliances and be like, oh, I think this person's going to do well long term. Like, I need to stay on their good side. And I just don't really play that game because, like I said, like, even with here on Instagram, even over on Twitter, like, I'm almost at 10,000 Twitter followers. I've never asked anyone to, like, stick by me, especially when things start to get hairy over there and I'm arguing with everyone and stuff. I would never be like, oh, my friends need to, like, stick up for me. I'm like, just stay out of the way, you guys. Like, you don't need to get, like, friendly fire over here, rude comments and stuff to you because of stuff I'm saying. Like, just, don't get involved because I don't need people to, like, have my back if I feel like it's going to hurt them. I'm like, let me just do my thing. Let me say what I'm going to say. people that agree with me will pipe up, people that disagree with me, and they might be because they follow someone else or they want to align with them or they want to go on their podcast or whatever, will try to call me out, but I'm still going to say what I have to say. So that's how I operate. Be loyal to yourself. That's what matters. We have to understand this country was founded off of your liberties. Yeah, you have to be loyal to yourself, but you also have to be like true to yourself, because it's not just like, I'm going to be loyal to me and then I'm going to go do whatever I want. Like, I'm loyal to myself because I'm like being true to myself, and I'm like, these are my principles. These are what I'm going to, this is how I'm going to conduct myself. This is how I'm going to address these issues and everything. And when you stand by that, then you have the right to have your back, and you should feel good about it. So, yeah, that's why I don't think I'll ever do good in politics, because I don't care about making friends with people. I don't need to go on their podcast. And of course, like if I did come, say I went over to Twitter as a libertarian and sucked up to everyone and was like, oh, let's all be friends and stuff like that. I probably, I've been on a couple podcasts anyways, just because people like can't stand me. But if I had done that, think about all the podcasts I could have been on, and maybe I would have been like, oh, I'm kind of like you, and I'm kind of like you, and we all think alike and stuff, and you guys are doing fantastic, yeah, you catch a lot more flies with honey than vinegar, but I would be lying, because the truth is that I've been a libertarian for, almost like 2.5 years, and I'm frustrated. I've been working hard, and I'm like, these people are just messing it up, making us look like clowns online. And they're wanting to just run all these candidates that aren't going to win. And they're just having no strategy. And they're just like thinking that just, having all these podcasts and getting Dave Smith on their podcast and doing all these things is like going to equal us winning elections, when I know it's not. So if I just like sat there and like smiled and told everyone they were doing fantastic and I want to go on their podcast and stuff, yeah, that would probably be more fun for me. I'd be like, everyone likes me, this is so cool, look at all the followers I'm getting and stuff from that. But I wouldn't be like happy, because I wouldn't be true to myself. Like, you have to say what you really think, and at least I do. And if I don't, I'm not going to be like liking myself anymore. And that's the most important thing, because I'm going to feel like I compromised I compromise my values and everything. So I give people a fair chance, but I'm also not going to like make excuses for them or not say what I think, because I've been that person in the past. I think we all have. Like, very few people come out of like the womb, as someone who's just ready to be like, this is how it is, that's how it is, and even if you do, it usually gets kind of like stamped out of you in like, the elementary, middle school, like high school thing. And you start to be a little more people pleasing, like on people's good sides, and you be more strategic and stuff. But over the past couple of years, I've been like shedding all that, wait, so is this about you running for office, trying to catch up? No, I'm not running for office. This is just about how I fit into politics and everything, because I am a libertarian. I do a lot of stuff with the Libertarian Party. I love, being a libertarian. I want to see it succeed, but I'm very critical of how it's being done and why we aren't winning elections, why we're holding ourselves back, because it's almost like as a party we have low self-esteem. We're like, oh, we just have to be the class clown all the time, or no one's going to like us, or no one's going to like our ideas and everything, or we need to be edgier, or we need to be goofier, this is who we are, we need to throw around language that alienates people and stuff. And so I don't like, I just can't like cover for that. I'm always going to say like what I truly think. And so what I'm saying is like, I'll never go far in politics. And I don't just mean like running for office, because honestly, like every single libertarian could hate me and I could still win an election. Like, especially if I ran as like a Republican, that wouldn't be the thing that held me back. You know what I'm saying? Like the libertarians being mad at me. It would be more other issues of like, I live in a place where I'm not from, like I'm young, I don't maybe have the experience, like those things would hold me back. But just like, as far as like, not the Libertarian Party, but as like a libertarian, like, influencer or like a commentator, like somebody who wants to talk about politics and stuff. Yeah, it would be easier if I came in and tried to want to be like friendly with everybody. But I'm also a volunteer. I'm also somebody who works, has done a lot of work for the Libertarian Party. Obviously not paid work, it's free work. But, and as that person, I get frustrated because I actually want to see change. I actually need to see change for my son's generation. And it's very irritating when it feels like a lot of people are just there to kind of like play with their friends and have fun, and they don't want the Libertarian Party to grow because they want it to stay snarky, and I just don't get it. Those Libertarian haters coming at you seem super insecure, LOL. I mean, I think a lot of people, when they use the Fed comment and then tell me I only have followers because I wear yoga pants, to me that seems really silly, because I've grown on every single platform, and especially even here on Instagram, it's not like I put I've only recently even started sharing any like workout videos and stuff, because that is actually my career. I am a fitness coach. And I do online coaching now. So it is nice to get online clients or people interested in supplements. I work with First Forum and everything. So I have started sharing about this stuff, and also because it's just good for you. Like, I want to see people bettering themselves and, inspired. Like, it's being like autonomous, having liberty means like you also have to have self-responsibility. And part of that self-responsibility comes from taking care of your body and being strong and being healthy. Are you a Christian? If so, can you show us your Bible? I am a Christian, and I will show you my Bible. Hold on. Okay. And you guys can see my, what are these? My joggers too. They're not yoga pants. This is my Bible. I am a Christian. I have one rule about my Bible, and that is no books go on top of it. Okay. It goes on top always. So does anyone else have that rule or feel that way about their Bible? Let me know. I don't know where I got it from. This is English Standard Version. I know a lot of people get mad about that, because they like King James best. I like this English Standard Version. I've had this Bible. I bought it when I was pregnant with my son. I'm pretty sure. I bought it when I was pregnant with my son in Tennessee. I think I was like 3 months pregnant. I've read Revelations a lot of time. It has a lot of markings in it and stuff. Not the whole Bible. I haven't read the whole Bible full through. The Old Testament, some of it is, I like it because it's very fire and brimstone, but it can be a lot. So he said, let's go. No one told me if they have that rule about their Bible. I never put it, no books can go on top of it. I tell my son that too. I'm like, the Bible goes on top. You don't like smash it under the other books or set your phone on it or anything like that. But yeah, so that is my Bible. I do not have a King James Version. It's English Standard Version. But yeah, so anyways, back to the libertarian stuff. I also don't let anything be on top of mine. Oh, good. Yeah, see, it's not, I didn't just make that up. I'm like, disrespect. Nothing can go on top of the Bible. The Bible goes on top. And you don't put your phone on it or anything. But yeah, I tell my son that too. He did rip a couple of the pages, but he didn't mean to. And I think he was like enjoying trying to read it and stuff. And I thought it was so cute. So, it's just very delicate. So we forgave him. But yeah, well, anyways, I should probably wrap it up. Oh, hey, Louisiana Sister Squad. Wait, let's give her a shout out really quick. I was on her podcast like last week. We recorded it. I think last week, maybe the week before. But she just put it out like, they did. It's two sisters. They just put it out like a couple of days ago, so you can check that out. Can you and I have a chat about the Bible sometime? You can always DM me. Anyone can DM me as long as y'all are respectful and stuff. I try to answer like every single DM. Now, when people start to send me, like, just full honesty here, when people start to send me a ton of like what's it called? Like reels or stuff like that, like I can't always watch, like I don't watch them all unless something really, really catches my attention. But I try to always be like answering my DMs at least with like some type of emoji or something, like, hey, it was great, thank you for coming on. Yeah, I had such a great time on their podcast. So it's Louisiana Sister Squad, and the link is in their bio. So Louisiana Sister Squad, just like it sounds, spelled out. That's their Instagram. I think it's on like multiple platforms and stuff, but it was really good. We talked, all about stuff with my son, health freedom, all that stuff. So it was really, really fun. was a great podcast. I've been trying to do a few more podcasts lately. For those of you who are libertarians, supposedly I'm supposed to be on with Larry Sharp on a little panel on his show, I guess February 13th. I don't know if I'm disinvited. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth or anything, but I've become kind of a little bit the scourge of the libertarian community. So there's a chance they might try to forget me, but we'll see. I think it would be fun, and I'm supposed to do that. So y'all will have to check it out. I'll keep y'all posted. I might need to try to make sure with him that I'm still invited, because you never know. That podcast I had the other day that just fell off, they had an emergency. I'm okay, well, and I respect that, but then the other part of me is wait, maybe everyone just hates you, we'll just see if they try to reschedule or not. It could be that you're just hated. I don't think that's the case, but you never know, because I've become a little bit unpopular with the libertarians. They prefer status quo instead of improvement. Everybody does. That's what's hard is especially when people work hard to gain a little niche or something like that, the Mises Caucus did and stuff. They don't really want anyone to come in and criticize them. They're well, you can do it better and everything. And I'm that's fine. But the thing is that, things really can be done better. And if you're not going to try to talk about the ways that it can be done better, then you're really missing an opportunity. If you're going to attack anyone and think that I'm what's so funny is that they think I'm first of all, they say I'm a Fed, and that I'm yeah, I don't think the federal government is worried about the Libertarian Party. They're coming over, they make it sound like I'm came over to sabotage them because they're doing so well. I'm no one needs to sabotage y'all. You have enough problems within the party with all the arguing, the infighting, the way that you conduct everything, that no one needs to send anyone over to sabotage you. This is internal, Then the other thing is that they think that I come over from Nick Sarwark, the old LP chair, that they all decided is so awful, and just because they told me how awful he was with things that weren't really true. And then when I watched the video that they sent me, I was hey, the video actually was not bad. He didn't really say that. Then they're she's a Fed from him or something, coming back, trying to ruin the party. They're so paranoid about any type of a little bit of pushback, that they're she must be a Fed or sent by Nick Sarwark to try to bring back his legacy or something, which I'm that's so weird that you guys even think that. But then the way that they act, it makes me I had been I kind of want to interview him, I wouldn't mind interviewing him and and having a conversation. And then they really lose their minds over that. They're see, it's exactly what we thought and stuff. And I'm do I need to stop rocking the boat? But then the other part of me is message him now. Ask him to do an interview with you, because these people are spiraling out of control. And they are so upset and stuff. Just take it a step further. I have that part of me, and I don't know if any of y'all do. Maybe not. It's a new development in my life. But basically, now instead when people threaten me or, are rude to me or something, I'm just bring it on. Okay. I didn't used to have that. Again, I wasn't born with that. But now I'm just let's just take this thing a step further. Okay. So I would like to interview him. I'm probably going to try to set something up, because I'm what's the point now? I don't need to tiptoe around on eggshells and not do it because I want these people to like me or something. I want to interview him because I want to know his side of the story, now that everyone's made him out to be so awful and they make me out to be so awful. And it makes me wonder, because I'm just a little bit of a disagreement and everyone hates me. I'm maybe this guy didn't really do that much. Maybe the LP was better before. How do I know? I'm I'm not really liking it now. They try to sell me with the health freedom aspect, but I'm but you guys are kind of authoritarian and you can't handle any criticism. Do what's right. Oh, right. Do what's good for you. Yeah. Or just I don't like that, because that becomes cancel culture. They're we hate him. He's so bad. Da, 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 and stuff. And I'm It's like a little extreme, you guys. Like, seems a little extreme, especially when the examples you start to show me are fake. And so I'm like, like I always try to stick up for people when they're getting like dogpiled on and stuff, because I'm like, that's stupid. Like most percent of the time, like that's not really, the person doesn't deserve it, you know? Totally like that now. Life is too short to tolerate other people's BS. Yeah, exactly. Like when people start to bring it, I'm like, bring it on. Because once you have that confidence, like as a person where you're like, I know I'm trying to do the right thing. Like I know, you know, who I am and stuff. Like just people can't really mess with you the same. They want to, and they'll try really hard. Like I actually, my, not to go like too personal here and stuff, but my ex-sister-in-law, like she has tried to come at me on Twitter really for like no reason, and just because she's mad because I believe that autism is caused by V products. She doesn't. Our sons were both affected. My son doesn't have an official autism diagnosis because you only need it if you want certain services like ABA therapy. Otherwise you can get everything without it. And she doesn't like that, and she, you know, she tried to use it against me over on Twitter, basically like messaging or commenting on stuff with that Josh Smith when he's trying to slam me and everything, and say like I'm crazy and my son's not officially diagnosed or something, trying to make it sound like maybe he doesn't have autism, you know. And I'm just like, so this guy tries to come at me and ask me about it, and I'm like, I've talked about this so many times, you know, but I tell it to him real nice and stuff. And then he, again, tries to make it sound like I'm like a liar or something. And I was just like, no, no, this is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, and so I don't back down from stuff like that. Like children that, like my son, like he did not need that official diagnosis because we didn't want to do ABA therapy. Or get like certain free services or anything. All the services and stuff that he's gotten, which I really didn't have him do a lot because I wanted to work with him at home. I really don't like how speech therapists use the ACC device a lot, so I want to make sure he was talking and stuff. We went the natural route. Like I did a whole bunch of, you know, naturopathic stuff with him and took him to chiropractor, stuff like that. Kept him home, play outside, screen free for like over a year. I did a ton of stuff like that, you know, like you don't need an autism diagnosis for that. And if you ever meet my son or have met my son, like you can tell like that there's something going on, you know, like struggles wise, like different, not typical children, for a 5-year-old right away. But I also don't like exploit him and tell like personal stories and stuff too much. What do you think about ABA treatment? I don't like it, like, because I did a lot of research on ABA, and the original founder and the principles of it have a lot to do with punishment. There's a place called Judge Rottenberg Center in Massachusetts where they use like ABA principles, and they actually like shock autistic people that live there. And that's so disturbing to me and everything. So I never wanted to do ABA therapy. I also thought that I didn't want him to be like trained. Basically, he's a very smart child and stuff, but I wanted him to learn like his own theory of mind of like how to work through stuff. And I thought that that would be more beneficial for him. But I also do not throw shade to parents that think that ABA, you know, is good, because they might have a different child and that could be the only thing that could help them, you know. A lot of people say, yeah, ABA treatment is inhumane. Yeah, and depending on the ways that it's done now, certain places now, centers and stuff, can probably be very, very good. I didn't look into them. I also never wanted my son anywhere where he's only going to be around other people that are autistic or developmentally delayed, because I felt like they won't push him enough, or they won't have high enough expectations. And then there's also no normal children around to say like, how were they treated and stuff like that. And he also, you know, some of his behaviors are kind of difficult and everything. And so I worry about him a lot as like being a target for if somebody is going to have like a short temper and stuff like that. So, so I never wanted him to go anywhere like that. I had seen like an article even here in Louisiana with like some type of, I think it was an ABA center. There was some abuse and stuff with like 6 employees or something, or misconduct. So no, yeah, that just wasn't for us. But basically he had tried to like make it sound like I was like making something up or not being truthful, which is absolutely not true. I did have my son at the Libertarian meeting last month. Yeah, last month in January, here in Louisiana. You know, they always tell me, you can bring your kid, you know, if you don't have a babysitter and stuff. And I'm like, no. But I was like, okay, we'll just stop by. But then I felt like I had a lot of stuff to say, so I wanted to stay and stuff, but it just did not go well. We had to leave partway through, and, you know, everyone saw him, everyone got to meet him and everything, you know. So I'm just like, if you have questions or you're trying to discredit me, you can ask anyone that was at that meeting. They've met my son. Like, you know, you're just being sick and rude to make it sound like I'm making something up or whatever, or trying to use like my son against me. Same thing with my ex-sister-in-law. Like, it's absolutely despicable that she goes online and tries to harass me and stuff. This is something I've dealt with for a while. I've actually had to block a lot of those family members because they come on, try to watch my live stream, stuff like that. And I'm just like, just get lost, you know? But anyways, so that was kind of like some little drama over there. But I feel like my point is that when you're truthful about stuff, or you know where you stand and everything, like, it doesn't matter. Because like in life, there's always going to be like gray areas, situations, things like that. Like, I'm not going to get my son like a specific diagnosis just so that people, you know, don't question, like, so I can say like, I'm an autism mom, you know. It doesn't change who he is. Like, you're just paying someone basically to tell you what you already know in a situation like his, you know. Now, and then there are people who kind of grift off of it and go and get a diagnosis as an adult that they didn't really need because they're actually fully functioning and not really having any life deficits. They're just like a little quirky and stuff. And I pointed that out in the past too. I'm like, basically anyone can just go and be like, yeah, I always feel like this, I always feel like that, I always feel like this. And they're going to give them an autism diagnosis, even though it's like Asperger's or whatever. It's all one thing now. So I'm like, what's the point? Like, they'll tell some 40-year-old person that they have autism, you know, newly diagnosed, like, based on what that person reports to them, and they could have a job and do all kind of things and stuff. And so it's just silly. It's like, that's not really necessary, you know, to prove anything, and it doesn't also disprove anything. So yeah, that was the situation there. I thought it was really, really classless that he tried to come at me about my son. I don't have a lot of respect for him. That's the vice chair of the Libertarian Party, or really basically any respect. And then I lost a lot of respect for the Libertarian Party, that they even have somebody like that in leadership, because I think it's just a really, really, really bad look. But anyways, enough about that. Enough about all this. I've been on here for like over an hour and a half, so I need to sign off because this video is like way too long. And but it was good to chat with y'all. I'm gonna put it on YouTube for anyone interested in the first part, which is where I talked about why that article didn't make any sense, what they were trying to say about like using brain dead people to surrogate babies. So you can check that out. That's going to be up on YouTube, and I hope y'all have a fantastic night. I'm going to try to do more live streams, and maybe like at least like a couple times a week from now on, to talk about, you know, just different like news articles, stuff like that, and just things in the world, and also just like how we can kind of like better ourselves and stuff. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, if you want to talk Bible, definitely message me. But y'all have a great night.